I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I play video games.
News and Eliminated with your hosts, John DeLuna, XV, Weebum,
Damn right I am.
and Rob.
Here we go.
News and Eliminated.
Hey everybody, it's your old friend Sean. Welcome to New Soundwave 88. The crazy 88s. New Soundwave 88.
Except for we're all men.
So, with me this week, we have Peter, aka Weaver, XV, and new Rob, the core cast. Hey everybody, how are you guys doing this week?
I am
good?
full of hate.
That is good. That's good. It's better than not being full, right?
Right. Yes.
It is. It is. We got a good show. This week. We're actually going to talk a little bit about some genres that we don't talk about enough, quite frankly. So we're going to talk a little bit about Starcraft II. We're going to talk a little bit about DCU. We're going to get to know the new Rob. And we're going to talk about, get ready for nerdgasms all around, Kingdom Hearts 3. It's going to happen, people, and we have some new details on that. And another game called Kingdom Hearts 3D, which is different from Kingdom Hearts 3. It's Kingdom Hearts 3D. Yeah. So let's get started. Speaking of 3D, the 3DS is going to get Nintendo Video in North America later this summer. Nintendo Video is being released this week in Japan and Europe. It is, as you would probably guess, is a video service that's going to be offered by Nintendo. It's free. It's going to offer 2D and 3D video downloads. Here's the example. So for like Europe, the first offering is going to be content that includes 3D episodes of a cartoon series called Oscar's Oasis. Sure. And exclusive 3D episodes of programming demonstrating various magic tricks, which is exactly what I want. So how to pull a rabbit out of a hat, how to do some sleight of hand, maybe, something like this, make a mushroom disappear, in suggestive ways. So the video is automatically downloaded through Spot Pass when you're in range. Until we get it. So Nintendo of America has told the internets that we'll talk about Netflix later, actually, in the show. Let's see here. More 3DS news. And this one may warrant a little bit of discussion. Nintendo's getting sued over it. So a lawsuit brought on by Tomita, which is a founded by Patent Arcade, is the group. So Tomita. It centers around a patent, of course, right? It's always about patents, about the optical access points. So essentially the 3D technology that Nintendo's using. They say the technology relates to displaying stereoscopic images, 3D, on screen for viewing with the naked eye. And it's our technology, damn it, and Nintendo stole it. Guys. My question is probably not, obviously we don't know enough about this case, but, the technology that the 3DS employs, I mean, we haven't really seen this technology before, have we? I mean, this is kind of like a new deal, right? I mean, I don't really recall ever seeing this kind of 3D in previous technology, right? I mean, the 3DS is kind of, I would say, would you call it groundbreaking? I don't know. I mean, what would you guys think? Have you guys had much experience with the 3DS?
I have just realized I've never actually even messed with a 3DS yet.
Really? Do you not have like a desire to?
I think it just keeps slipping my mind anytime I'm at a store that might have one on display.
So
So apparently I just don't care.
Well, I mean, Rob, Peter, have you guys had any experience with 3DS at this point?
I've only seen it once in person, and that was on the train. It wasn't even like holding it.
I've seen it a couple of times on display, and you know the effect does work, which I mean I'm sure everybody knows by now. But as I was kind of skeptical at first as whether it would work for me because I've worn glasses my whole life, and sometimes with some things that can interfere. But I really do. From what I've seen, I really do like it, and I think it is largely, you know, something new, and I really don't have a lot of enough information to say how groundbreaking it is, but it's better than the Virtual Boy. I mean,
yes. So is an aneurysm, but you know,
actually,
hey,
aren't the Virtual Boy and aneurysms typically connected?
Yeah, I think so. And they're both the color of blood. So no coincidence there. Hey, real quickly, Xbox, a music service, Xbox Music has been announced. A new application for your 360 is on the way this fall. It's a new music initiative called Xbox Music. It'll launch with over 11 million songs available. It's not exactly clear how you will access that content. A minor detail, I say, or what pricing will be connected to the service. Again, details. But the announcement comes via Steve Ballmer at a talk at a recent Microsoft partner conference. So he may have let the cat out of the bag a little too soon. It's also not stated how Xbox Music will relate to, say, you know, Microsoft's existing music services, if at all. But one interesting tidbit about the Xbox Music is that it will allow you to use Kinect and voice recognition to search for songs. Does this kind of stuff, do you guys utilize, like, on your Xboxes and your PS3s if you have them? Do you guys access the music service, the aspects of that, like the music libraries and stuff like that? Or when you get on it, are you, like, just playing video games?
I'm just playing video games.
Yeah, I think I'm still, like, in the old enough mindset to think, okay, this is a video game machine.
Right.
You know?
I play the games and I watch Netflix because if I want to listen to music, I have a better, you know, speakers and for my computer than I have for my television.
Yeah, I mean, isn't this kind of like, this is sort of more or less like the same kind of philosophy that the PS3 tried to run on, that it was going to be like a big media center and you were going to, like, do everything all at once, and just kind of like the PlayStation would always be on and would always be doing something. But I think more often than not, like, we talk on our phone, we make phone calls on our phone, and we play video games on our video game systems, and we watch TV on our TV. And I mean, it seems like this kind of stuff, I just don't know how much use, at least North Americans, get out of this kind of stuff. Moving on. Here is a piece of trivia that we can all get behind. So, if you remember, there was a fine piece of cinema about 20 years ago. Gosh, has it been 20 years? Called Super Mario Brothers, the movie. Oh yes, a fine Oscar-nominated piece of cinema, starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, and the great Dennis Hopper. Why Dennis Hopper took this job, I will never know. Probably money. So, yes, to make a long story short, no, the movie was not the greatest. No, it was not even good. And yes, it was, you know, it'd probably give you, like, you know, an ulcer, an aneurysm, and other ailments probably 10 minutes in. But it turns out that an early draft of one of the scripts for the movie has been uncovered, and it features an amazing cameo. As progression of the script kind of, you know, went along, lots of things were cut and lots of things were added. But initially, it seems like the overall concept of the movie was to start very cartoonish and very lighthearted, and slowly progress into a dark fantasy story with much more serious adult and action-y tones. To that end, the last half of the movie was inspired by Die Hard. And to the point where Bruce Willis, in character as John McClane, was written into the Super Mario Brothers movie as, again, John McClane. So how would he interact with Mario and Luigi? Well, at the end of the movie, the Mario and Luigi are kind of running around Koopa's factory. And so as they're running around, crawling around ventilation shafts, they were going to run into John McClane, and they would probably have some comedic stare down and then go their separate ways. You know, I go this way, I go down this shaft, you go down this shaft, your mom went down on my shaft, and everything.
Hey.
Yeah, and then everybody goes home happy. Probably way happier than if they would, way happier than they did with the actual movie. Guys, have you seen Super Mario Brothers the movie?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
I saw
Hey,
that
Peter.
in theaters.
Oh really? Awesome.
Wow. I wish you got your money back, huh? Just kidding. I can't say anything because I've never seen it.
You got to see it. It's one of those things where it's so bad you got to see it, and you know it's got Dennis Hopper in it. So
Sweet.
that's something, right? Hey Rob, did you get at all what you expected out of that movie?
Well, fortunately, I wasn't really expecting much of anything when I went in. I don't know why I managed not to expect, something connected to Super Mario Brothers, but I think I'd read enough about it in advance that I knew, okay, this is going to have no connection to the games, and so whatever it is, you may as well try to enjoy it. And but that movie is probably one of the biggest wastes of fine actors I have ever seen in my life.
I would agree with that. Hey XV, did you ever see this movie?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. You know he's not lying when he reacts like that. It's like reaching way back into the recesses of your mind.
Yes.
To my credit, I've only watched it once.
Okay, well that means you're not crazy, or not a masochist, right?
Well, how many times have you watched it?
Who, me? I think I've watched it probably when you put it together like 1.5 times or something like that. So I watched it like once through and then caught bits and pieces of it. If you're wondering, to wrap this little puppy up, it was in '93. So yeah, almost 20 years ago. Holy crap! The budget.
That's why I didn't watch it.
We're old farts, gentlemen. We're old farts.
That's why I didn't watch it. I was way too young.
I know. You were what, like 3?
I was in the third. Well, no, but
you were in
I was
third grade.
Third grade, yeah.
You know, the first
Oh my
movie I ever went to see in a theater was Ninja Turtles 2.
Nice.
Which apparently
Ninja Turtles 1. Too bad you didn't. Too bad you were too young, I guess, to see that one. That was a good one. Ninja Turtles 1 was good.
I was around for that. I used to watch those all the time.
Yeah. That was a good movie. By the way, Super Mario Brothers did not exactly make a ton of cash. It actually lost a ton of cash. The budget was $48 million. It made about $21 million. Yeah. Hey, before we go to break, a couple more stories. Kingdom Hearts 3D and 3 are coming out. Nerdgasms all around. Speaking with Japanese media this week, Square Enix had a few things to say about the long-awaited Kingdom Hearts sequel, Kingdom Hearts 3, and the upcoming 3D game for the 3DS, Kingdom Hearts 3D, also known as Dream Drop Distance. Yes, that is English. Is apparently 40 to 50% finished. The game story will lead into Kingdom Hearts 3, presumably much like the Game Boy Advance title Chain of Memories led into Kingdom Hearts 2. Square Enix also said that the storyline for the first 2 Kingdom Hearts will conclude with Kingdom Hearts 3, as it should. But a framework was already in place for the series to continue. So Kingdom Hearts 3 will definitely not be the last Kingdom Hearts. Hopefully we won't have to wait another 10 years for Kingdom Hearts 4. Before we go to break, last story. Can you believe Casey Anthony was found not guilty? I can't either, but let's talk about Netflix instead. Netflix, guys. not Casey Anthony. Netflix is what's lighting up the internets this week. Netflix is going up by a lot. So to recap, if you haven't heard, before we dive into this, Netflix has announced this week plans to raise prices immediately for new users and later in the near future for existing members. And they're getting a lot of backlash. So the fuss has begun when the original $9.99 plan for unlimited monthly DVD rentals and streaming was divided into two plans. $7.99 for streaming and another $7.99 for DVD rentals starting September 1st if you've already got a membership to Netflix. So essentially, this is a increase of about 60%. So fellas, my first question is for you guys. First of all, are you a member of Netflix? And second of all, of course, what was your reaction to the price hike?
Well, I don't use it, so I didn't have much reaction, but if I were a user and I was presented with a 60% price hike, yeah, I'd be pretty upset.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
I am a Netflix subscriber, and my reaction was, oh, crap.
Yeah.
I will give a third perspective here. I was thinking of getting a Netflix account because, hey, good value, and why not? But then, no, not anymore.
Well, I think the streaming component is great. So most likely drop my one DVD and then get this. Just keep the streaming, because now that I don't have cable, it helps a lot.
My thing with that is, the streaming catalog, as I understand, is not exactly up to date.
I'll jump in. The streaming catalog is awesome. I've had Netflix since 2003, and I have rented 12 DVDs, but I have more than made up the value of that with the streaming catalog. So screw you people who hate this. This is a good thing. No one wants DVDs anyway. DVDs can go to hell.
And they,
oh my gosh.
Holy shit. And they are adding
established earlier that you can't get Super Mario Brothers movie on the Netflix streaming.
I can get Super Mario Brothers Super Show on it, so I don't care.
I personally, if I haven't seen Super Mario Brothers for now, I couldn't care less.
You don't know what you're missing, sir.
I know, right? So what I'm saying is, the streaming is going. It's getting much better. They're doing really well on TV shows specifically. So if you want to catch them on TV shows, they just added Mad Men, which is a great show if you've never seen it. And they added CBS. They're adding a whole bunch of newer stuff as they go along, and they're working with studios to get more and more films, and they always have a rolling catalog. Some films stay on there forever, some don't, some expire, some come back. It's dynamic, is what you
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think they could have probably done a lot better job with the PR of this if they had made a bigger deal of like all the stuff that they were doing with streaming at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if they had said, yeah, we know this is going up and we know it's never going to be a good time to do this, but here are all the things we're doing with streaming to make it like more worth your while or to kind of like justify the cost. But they kind of just like threw out, oh, hey, we're raising prices by 60%. Yeah. And, kind of, scurried off and just hoped everybody would be okay with that. They didn't really do as good a job, I guess, on the PR front,
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who uses Netflix and gets DVDs.
That's
so 3-4 years ago.
No, I still do.
But I'm sure the older demographic does,
I still have like 100 DVDs 100 movies on my DVD queue that I need to watch. So, and most of them are from the AFI 100 greatest films or whatever. So, I'm still working my way through those, and I would like to before September.
Yeah. But and that's a good point. You know what? There is a little bit of time. If there's some stuff that's on DVD and you definitely want to watch, at least they're giving like current users a little bit of time.
And I think
before we go to break. Yeah. And before we go to break, real quick, if you are looking for alternatives, we are here to help. So, of course, you've got Hulu Plus, which is the pay version of the free online site Hulu,
and it sucks.
You get NBC and Fox, handful of independents for $8 monthly. That's kind of pricey. Amazon Instant Video.
Also
so current
sucks.
TV also sucks. Yes, current
little-
TV episodes, but it is an option. It is an option.
It is an
Current TV
option, but
episodes, recent movies,
Buy a freaking
pay-per-view
Roku.
basis.
You can watch us on your
99
freaking
cents.
Roku. And we're
Man.
free.
Hulu
Killer
Plus-
Bee, I
Hulu
think we've
Plus is
learned
not-
something about Brian tonight. I think he is
Sorry.
he is violently in favor of Netflix.
Hulu
streaming.
Plus is not worth it whatsoever.
Between RFC and this conversation, yes, we've learned a very lot about Brian.
Yes, we have.
You-
we have.
you
I guess
asked
the
a
final
lot.
two, of course, iTunes. Okay, so that's an option with Apple TV. That's an option, and HBO Go. Only problem with HBO Go, you gotta have HBO, which is like $16 a month. But HBO is also fantastic. And so yeah, there you go. But actually, I guess the moral of the story is listen to Brian and his his rage for Netflix.
You
Lean
mean
back
his raging hard on?
Yes, his raging hard on for Netflix streaming.
You have to be more specific with what's raging, you know.
I'm sorry.
Well-
I was on I've hardly watched any of my Netflix streaming until I was on vacation. Then I did basically nothing but watch Netflix streaming, and I fell in love with it. It's fantastic.
Clearly.
Yeah, I find that it's a great alternative, really, because since I've canceled cable, I use streaming so much more often now. And $15 for DVD and streaming, cheaper than my $50 cable TV bill that I would.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
petty for people to complain about it.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yes,
It
but
I mean,
this
if you're
is the
paying like
internet.
if you're paying like
Yeah.
$150 for your internet, your TV already, then yeah, you're better off.
$242 is what I paid.
Yeah, I pay $40 now with just internet, so I'm okay with the. None of those alternatives are good. They're not.
Yeah,
They're
that's I guess the bad thing is like
Stack
good
bunches of
news, we
flicks.
have alternatives. Bad news,
Bad
they kind of suck.
If you compare it to Netflix, you stack it up, does not compare.
Yeah. So good segment, guys. When we come back from commercial, we will talk about Starcraft II, DCU, the PSN, and then we will get to know the new and improved Rob.
Here we go. Performing for you. If you know the words, you can join in too. Put your hands together if you wanna clap. As we take you through this monkey rap. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. Here's the coke and the gun.
New Soundwave.
Back, guys. Let's talk Starcraft II. Starcraft II is an unstoppable force, and it's going to get even more unstoppable. Starcraft II will soon be linking many of its regions together in a move that will give its players a whole new world to kick ass in and against. So beginning July 25th, Battle.net will link the following servers together: Europe and Russia, Korea and Taiwan, and North America and Latin America. Blizzard says having a larger pool of players means the automated matchmaker for latter games will be faster, more effective at finding opponents at or near your skill level. You'll also be able to make friends with these newcomers to your server, provided that is you can understand what the hell they're saying because you're in Russia and they are in Germany. Yes. So actually, another footnote to this. I don't know if any of you guys play StarCraft 2. But it is quite the phenomenon on streaming sites, video sites like Justin TV. And Justin TV last month got, I believe, at peak times, over 100,000 viewers on their channels, which is the equivalent of, say, G4. So, and it's all because of StarCraft 2. Do any of you guys play StarCraft 2? I know JD from one of our sister shows, Fanboy Versus, is wanting to get into the game, but he doesn't have time. Anybody? Rob, are you into that?
The last RTS I played was Dune 2000. So
nice.
Wow.
It's been a while. I don't know if anybody ever played the original Dune. I had the Genesis version, but that's probably still my favorite. I love that game.
Good stuff. I actually put in a few hours on that game, so yes, I agree. Hey, if you play DCU is expanding. Sony Online Entertainment and their superhero MMO action game, DC Universe Online. That game is getting its very first substantial expansion pack later this summer. The add-on will bring the extensive ring-slinging mythos of the Green Lantern Corps to the forefront with a, quote, fight for the light expansion pack. Players will be able to adopt emotion-based powers. Good guys get Green Lantern willpower, while villains get Sinestro Corps' fear power. And you can also partake in 4 Lantern-specific missions, 3 of which are made for 4-player groups. Unfortunately, players will not become fully fledged members of the Green Lantern Corps or Sinestro Corps. You're merely a recruit, meaning you won't have a sweet Green Lantern logo to display, but on the front of your costume. Or you won't be, and you also won't be able to use your ring constructs as your primary weapon. It will supplement and enhance only. Sony has sent out descriptions of 3 of the 4 new missions, which take place in Star Labs, Coast City, and Oa. Guys, do any of you guys play DCU or MMOs?
Hell no.
Hell no. JD, we're actually gonna get JD on and to talk about this and a couple other things probably in later weeks. But I will say one of the fears that JD had about this game is he compared it to the expansion pack for Galaxies, which is, by the way, going bye-bye, Star Wars Galaxies. Their expansion pack was for Jedis instead of Green Lanterns. But just like this, you couldn't become a Jedi, just kind of like a not Jedi, like everything but a Jedi. Just like this, you can become a not Green Lantern, everything but a Green Lantern, and he's afraid that essentially the game's going to turn into a bunch of not Green Lanterns running around, just like Galaxies was a bunch of not Jedis running around, which makes sense. Couple more stories before we get into a nice meaty discussion with New Rob. Sony apparently is putting a lot of money into PSN exclusives. 20 million, in fact. Instead of games that we may want to buy, like in a store. Now, okay, I don't know. I know Rob. Rob, you've got a PS3. I've got a PS3.
Yeah.
How much? How much like well, how much money have you put into the PSN, and have you like really utilized the PSN at all? I'm kind of interested in your take.
Actually, so far the only thing I've really done on PSN was the welcome back content. I do have I got a $20 gift card for my birthday that I'm hanging on to for
Nice.
waiting for something that really strikes my fancy. Unfortunately, since we had an Xbox 360 for a long time, most of the things that I'd really want are sitting over there on the Xbox's hard drive. So the one thing that I am really considering is the downloadable Castlevania game, Harmony of Despair.
Yes.
That is going to have the local multiplayer that the 360 version should have had in the first place.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So that is really tempting. Other than that,
Yes,
that
is.
Yeah, but so far that is my real only contact with PSN is the free welcome back stuff. Some of which I didn't realize expired last week and didn't get.
Whoops.
Oops.
Whoops. Yeah, I mean, I downloaded what was it? I guess Infamous and Little Big Planet, which is probably like the two that most people downloaded. So yeah, good stuff. It's good to know that you're partaking of PSN when they give you free stuff. That's always good. Hey,
That is PSN's whole business model, right?
well, I mean, I love it when it's free. So
PSN, we give you free stuff, and then we give away your identity.
and then we watch then we watch you not come back for months. Okay, last story before we get to know a little bit about Rob and wrap up the show. This will get your Transformers weenie vibrating. Your Transformers pants will go crazy. Your Alien movie pants will go crazy when you hear that they are making a Space Invaders film, and it's being produced by Transformers producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventure. This can only lead to good things, gentlemen. This can only lead to good things. The only thing that would make Space Invaders the movie better is if it was Joust the movie. Because that would be awesome. Okay, so let's get to know the new Rob. Rob Clay is our new Rob, new and improved Rob. And just like the previous Rob, has a mighty fine set of facial hair. I must approve. I must approve as a man who frankly can't grow a mustache to save his life.
Yeah,
I respect that.
equally
Are
jealous.
you the same way, Peter?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like it comes out in like bits and pieces. So if I don't shave, I look like a freaking bum.
It's sad.
Did
Sad.
you
I
ever
once
see-
tried to grow a beard, and it came out as a neck beard, and I shaved it when a couple of my friends gave me a long look and said, "You know what? You look like a
Stop.
child molester." And
Stop. It's pretty much just like stop. Just stop.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
Did
just
you-
hung my
did
head
you-
and shit.
Did you ever see the Penny Arcade strip where Gabe is going on about this like quarter-inch of facial hair he's grown, and you turn around and Tycho says, "I'm sorry, I was growing a beard," and he looks like a Viking. That's me and my brother. He cannot grow facial hair to save his life, and we're not sure why.
Yeah,
Nice.
I can't even grow a neck beard. I just got like little peach fuzz. It's terrible.
Yeah, so Rob, first of all, Rob is growing facial hair for the cast. And we appreciate it. We have to live vicariously through that beard, that righteous beard. Rob, since New Soundwave is the video game show, tell us what your favorite genre is, if you got one, and your current favorite game, if you got some.
Well, I'd say my favorite genre has to be RPGs. That's the Final Fantasy VI was one of the best things I ever played, and I was one of the poor souls who was actually excited to get Dragon Warrior with their Nintendo Power subscription. So, yeah, that's definitely my favorite genre. I mean, that's the one I have the little website about blundering through them in Japanese, despite the fact that I barely know any. So, yeah, that has to be my favorite. There's no way to get around that. In terms of a current favorite game, that's actually a tougher one because I'm usually playing a couple of things at once. Just finished Romancing Saga 2, which I would love to see in English one day, but Also just started Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, which is not bad. That's fun.
Oh yeah. Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
I like the first
Hey,
one.
since you're big into RPGs, I got an interesting question for you, or something I'm curious about. So, what do you think were the, say, golden ages of RPGs in like modern game history? Were there any like some real choice years or hardware generations where you like you can point and say that was like the golden age of RPGs?
That's kind of a tough one. I'd say for Western-made RPGs, we're currently soaking at it.
Really?
Fallout and Fallout and Skyrim are some of the best. Some of the, or rather, Oblivion. Skyrim's coming. I'm looking forward to that. That there's in terms of things made that in this native language, I have to say that we're seeing some of the best stuff I've ever seen currently. In terms of Japanese-made RPGs, 2D RPGs, which are, probably, if you have to say my favorite subgenre, that is it. I'd say it's actually a tie between the Super Nintendo and DS as the best platforms. The Super Nintendo, the games I basically grew up with, are very dear to my heart, but they're remakes of them, a lot of them, for the DS that are absolutely spectacular, streamline the interfaces and the presentation, and it's basically, I'd say, if you really want good RPGs, what you need is a DS Lite, because the Game Boy Advance had some really nice remakes, the DS has some nice retro style things and some excellent remakes, and that's the system to have.
Interesting. Final question. So what is a pet peeve you have about gaming?
Oh, that is an easy one. The current generation of software really bothers me, that it is all designed specifically for HD television sets, which I don't have, and I cannot read the text without a magnifying glass. It drives me crazy. The one modern game I have played that does not have this problem is actually Monster Hunter Tri for the Wii. It has a little option where you can set what kind of television you have, and when you tell it you have an SD TV and that aspect ratio, suddenly all the text is legible. What I want to know is, why can't anyone else do that on any other game?
They hate you.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, they heard about you.
That's it.
They heard about.
Yep.
There's this guy named Rob. Last name Clay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So actually, here's a bonus one. So, what are the one or two games that are, say, maybe out right now or kind of sort of recent that you would absolutely recommend to our listeners?
Well, I'd go. Staying on the DS, I'd go with Dragon Quest IX. That is a really great RPG, and there is enough bonus content that I believe somebody said it took them 744 hours to get through everything.
Oh my gosh!
That is,
No way.
You get your money's worth out of that one, and it's a fun little game. I Dragon Quest is one of those series I really love, and 9 is excellent. So, recommended to any DS owners.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot more. That's like 10 times more hours than I think I've ever put into any game. I can't remember.
No kidding.
Hey, Peter, what's the Peter XV? What's the most time you put into a game? Could you remember offhand?
Okay, I got a copy of Pokemon Blue that I got in I guess '98, and currently that's up to like 69 hours.
Okay.
Oh.
You still play it?
Not in several years.
Okay. Yeah.
The file's still
There's
there.
Yeah. What about you, Peter?
The longest time I put into a game was like Pokemon Red or something like that. I mean, no.
Again with
No.
the Pokemon.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
at that point in time, it was really easy to sink all those hours into the Pokemon games for basically a lighter version of why Dragon Quest goes on for a week nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And in
Go
its way, I have to say that that Pokemon is utter genius, because one of the things that people always complain about in RPGs is, level grinding, wandering around, killing things, raising your experience level.
Yeah.
So they took the least likable part of RPGs, made it into its own game, and it is the smash sensation worldwide.
Yes.
I think the best part is that, you can control the Pokemon. I think you can choose their moves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would say that I put a lot of time into Call of Duty, but I kind of burned out. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I burned out on first-person shooters in general. Yeah. I
really? Nice.
Hitting Pokemon again really quickly. I think one reason Pokemon does well with, as Rob points out, the thing that people typically hate most about an RPG is that on top of emphasizing the level grinding, it also gives you a strategy aspect in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And for me, I love strategy games because I like to sit and think about a puzzle and how to solve it. That's my favorite thing. And
it is genius.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very basic form of that in how you work with the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's genius. It's genius. I think if I had to say, I guess I probably sunk most of my hours. I'm gonna guess in Pokemon, I just can't remember which one. Probably whichever one was concurrent with or most popular with the SP, which is my favorite Game Boy, I must say. The Game Boy SP. Genius design.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be Ruby or Sapphire.
Yeah, Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire, something like that. I guess, that sounds about right. Okay, good stuff, guys. And I feel like we learned a little bit about Rob, and we sure as hell learned a lot about Brian unexpectedly.
Sorry.
So,
Brian, stuff. Way to steal the spotlight.
Good stuff.
For the record, I probably spent about
Hart
200 hours on Tekken 2. And
oh my god, dude, on a fighting game, that's
serious.
Yeah, that's serious stuff, buddy. That's serious stuff. So, on that note, that is New Soundwave 88. We'll see you next week for New Soundwave 89. Until then, I'm your host, John DeLuna, and we will see you around.
2, 1, 0. Game over. And this is a spell I use in my garden, Your Highness. Watch.
Wonderful! It's getting bigger!
Huh?
This has been New Soundwave. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Check out all our videos at tfvideo.net. New Soundwave is a Radio Free Cybertron production.